Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's Mike and Blaine. This is episode 133. I started a little early that time. I don't know what happened, but hey, let me ask you this. First of all, I'm Mike Blaine. That's Blaine Birch. He's with Dry Run. I'm with Cashflow Mike. That's kind of what we do. We master cash flow for you, right? But I had another thought. Now I'm all flustered. But my other thought was, do you ever still walk around the house and sing part of that jingle?
Oh, all the time. And okay, I got to explain to everyone why. But we had a small technical problem. The song didn't start right away, so that's what got Mike flustered. But then we got her in, and it's been, yeah. We could sing it on our own. We could just sing it. We know it so well.
But I didn't think it was going to start, so I just started.
Got her to go.
Do you have a favorite line? There's always one line that pops into my head when I'm walking around the house, and it just like going, oh, I'm gonna sing that right now. Do you have a favorite line in the jingle?
A favorite line? I don't know if I'd have to think about that. A favorite one? I just, because mine always it starts from the top for me when I'm wandering around the house.
Oh, see, my
the podcast, like it just starts like that, right?
Yeah. Okay, so that's probably my second, but I find myself more often than not saying, cheers to the good times. I say that one more than any other ones. I don't know what it is, but maybe I'm just happy.
This could be a top 40. Maybe we gotta get that song onto Spotify because it's so catchy.
Yeah, something, right? Something. So, hey, if you are just tuning in, this is your first one. You've missed 132 other episodes. So you can always go back to any of your podcast directories and pick it up. If not, you can go to mikeandblaine.com where we have every single episode that you can go back and listen to. You can also do a few other things on the website. What else can they do?
You can buy us a beer because we're always looking for some new beer sponsors. You can go there, $5, buy us a beer. We'll mention you on the show. We've got 3, or is it 4? We have 4 beer sponsors going right now, which is that's the new high for us. So we're and let's dive in. Let's start talking about our beer sponsors that we love so much.
Hey, and believe it or not, we have a beer sponsor through the end of the year, right? We have 0 blank spots in 2024.
Yep,
is that crazy? And it's just March. And it's just March.
Yeah, it's been a really crazy year, and it's been an exciting year. And I am going to dive into our first beer sponsor right now because I want to tell you what I'm drinking. Now, the topic today is, kind of, are you normal? Is your business normal? How do you judge normal? And I thought, what is normal? Well, I'm from Alberta, and it seems to be fairly similar to Maryland, where big truck comes from Maryland, and it's the Crew Cab IPA. What? And this is from Baltimore Mike. Baltimore Mike sent me this beer. It's from Queenstown, Maryland, which I'm assuming is right by Baltimore. I don't know. I've never been there. But super cool Crew Cab, which you see all over Alberta. That's the normal thing for Alberta. Although right now I'm down in Scottsdale right now. It's not that normal down here, to be honest.
He must have put that in the wrong box because that doesn't fit you at all. I mean, here I am. I'm Texan. I have a big truck. I like IPAs. That's just bullshit. That's just another way where he's trying to jab me. He's just trying to get me, right? He's like, I'm gonna send the cool beer to Blaine.
Well, thank you, Mike. It's a wicked cool can. Like, I love it. It's this giant can, and it's actually got that gloss. It's like got a shiny Crew Cab, but it looks more like about a 1978 domestic giant Crew Cab truck. So it's super cool. But yeah, you're more of a truck guy than I am. I've had trucks before in my life though, but I don't right now.
All right, I'll let that go. But Mike is one of our big sponsors for the year, so I definitely appreciate you. And I won't say anything bad about the Baltimore Ravens as long as Blaine doesn't come up with some other bullshit.
I am just for the sake of sake of everyone's sanity. I won't bring that up. But thank you so much, Mike. You can always send me another little blurb if you want me to say it. But we thank you so much for the beer, and both Mike and I have beer that you've delivered to us personally um, in both our towns, which is super cool.
Now, Mike sent me or sent us a message on, no, he sent me a text. Apparently, he listened to a previous episode where I talked about how every time I get out on a jetway, it goes it like self level. So apparently, I must be right at the weight limit where the actual jetway re-levels itself to make sure it doesn't slide off the door or something. I don't know what happens, but he says that doesn't happen to him, and that surprises me. Because he's a big guy.
Well, you must be a little bit more. I say I'm schmedium. It doesn't happen to me. So
yeah, I muscle weighs more, so that's why I look better and way more.
well, there you go. Whatever makes you feel good.
All right, so I want to talk about Rachel, right? Rachel Barnett of Gentle Frog. She is back on. She's with us. If you want to learn QuickBooks, go to Gentle Frog. Check out Rachel Barnett's program, and you will learn QuickBooks. And I got to tell a story about what she just sent me in an email a second ago. I don't think you saw this. Did you see what I put out on the kind of the new exciting news about how I made it to be a finalist? I was nominated earlier for. Well, let me explain first. There is a conference in New York next month called Zone of Genius. And it is hosted, it is hosted by, you're looking at me like, how did you make anything in Zone of Genius? The hell's up with that? Outside the norm. So anyway, it's hosted by Ramon Ray, who's a friend of mine. I don't know if you've heard of Ramon before. And then also Seth Godin is going to be there. Are you familiar with Seth Godin? Yeah. So he's one of the other hosts of this. And they're doing a one-day event, and they have like 7 categories of entrepreneurial awards. And the one I got nominated for was Best Brand for Entrepreneurs, right? With my Cash Flow Mike program for helping entrepreneurs, for maximizing cash flow and helping small businesses and champion small businesses. So the official award title is like Entrepreneur Champion of the Year, right? Which means I'm actually trying to help small business owners. Well, I made it to the finalist, right? The final.
Nice.
But now it's a popularity contest, right? So now I'm going, wow, shit, now I got to ask people to vote for me, which I'm not good at it anyway, but I know why they're doing it. They're doing it to build their marketing email list, and they're doing it to promote the event and those type of things. So that way it gets us to promote it for them. I get it. So if you go to Zone of Genius /awards 2024, look for my name under the Entrepreneur Champion Award, and vote for me, Mike Milan. That's my thing. Well, anyway, she did that. Here's what I thought was funny. You know those CAPTCHA things?
Yep.
Right? CAPTCHA, like you either pick a picture or you check a box or something like that. Well, Rachel goes, I didn't know I was going to have to take a damn math test when I voted for you. I had the same experience. Instead of that, they gave me a math problem, and it isn't like, what's 7 + 4? Something I could do real quick and just, type it in. No, my math problem was this. My math problem was 6 times 14. I'm like, well, shit, now I got to get a calculator.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and she had a similar experience where it was some crazy thing where, some people can do it in their head. I'm not one of them. So, and you don't want to get it wrong because then you might have to do it all over again. So,
is it 84?
No, just like 70
6 times. Oh no, 7. Okay,
78, 76.
I was thinking I did 8 times 4. 74. Yeah, I had
74.
I was 30 off because I was.
All right. So anyway, she voted. She had to go through that. Blaine Birch needs to vote next.
I will. I didn't see that. I will go right after the show. I'm going to go vote, and everyone else go vote. We'll also have it up on our Facebook page, and I'll share it on the Dry Run LinkedIn page and everything else as well on Facebook. So make sure you guys all go and vote. And See here, I thought it was for like cornhole champ that you keep bragging about or something.
No, this is actually a legit thing. I mean, I was already cornhole champion of the neighborhood, thanks to neighbor Pat. Neighbor Pat has single-handedly handed me the championship with so many losses.
Thank you for beer, Pat.
he was like the Detroit Lions prior to last year. He's like the Detroit Lions of the last 10 years, where they couldn't buy a game.
And Pat's also our other beer sponsor. So I'm going to say that Pat, I think, is probably letting you win. That's what I figure probably is happening every once in a while.
I mean, he knows how hard I work at this podcast, so he's probably just let me win. So I got something to talk about. But neighbor Pat is one of our beer sponsors, and he's done a great job. He not only brings down beer that he runs across that's fantastic, he makes his own beer. So I always get some fantastic new flavor concoction. He brings it down. Even if it's not the podcast day, he's bringing it down. So I appreciate that, Pat.
Awesome. And we still have one more.
And that's your buddy. You guys are buddies now. I mean, you're taking Mike Blaine flies out to Arizona to see you. You fly into Houston to see the next sponsor.
Yeah, Larry Weinstein, CPA in Houston. Got to see Larry a few weeks ago. Thanks again, Larry. Appreciate all of the beer support. But if you're looking for a CPA and you're in Houston, you got to look Larry up. He's the guy. He's the man.
Yeah. So he just tried to call me a second ago while we were doing this.
Oh, maybe Larry, are up in your beer sponsorship?
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. All right. So I didn't tell you my beer. This is about normal, right? Normal, is it a reality or is it a myth? Mm-hmm. So I had a Founders. I think we've had Founders on the show before, but I went with one that Mike Blaine gave me called the Raspberry Ale. Was it Tart and Sweet?
Nice.
So is it a real beer? Is this a normal beer?
This is not a normal beer.
It's not a normal beer, right? So that's
normal beer.
It's a myth. That's one of the reasons I picked it. I'm like, well, that's not a normal beer. I'm going to try something outside the norm.
Yeah. And I don't know if Founders has a normal beer. They have ones that are more normal, but anything I've had from Founders has been like, barrel-aged stout with some, vanilla and chocolate and, maple syrup or something weird, right? So Founders makes some really terrific beer. Their barrel-aged stouts are outstanding.
Hey, do you know what's going on this week as we're recording this podcast? South by Southwest.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I was there last year, and I was avoided it this year, so I have.
Did you see that like 80 bands walked out on them like over the weekend or something, or over the week?
I did see it. I didn't read that much about it, but it was, people were a bit upset. And now keep in mind, like, awful that, like, for them, but, to have bands sort of walk out, and for the people that are going to the event, I'm pretty sure they have thousands of bands there. So it's still like, I've never seen that before. Never seen that kind of impact before.
Yeah, I mean, it's all politically oriented, and you and I we just try to stay away from that. But I mean, if people want to take a stand, I guess they're going to take a stand, right? One way or the other. So you can take a stand. That's how they did theirs. So,
yeah.
All you can do is just, hey, if people are going to stand up. You got to let them stand up.
That's their right, and good on them for following their beliefs, right?
Yeah. So all right. So here's how this topic came up. Right, we're talking about normal, and because I consult with business owners all the time, one of the things they ask is, hey, I've got this going on or that going on. Is that normal? And it's a hard thing to answer, like because sometimes maybe it is. Maybe something that seems so weird, like financial uncertainty. That might be normal in your business. That might be something that's normal, right? But we talk about it all the time. So I wanted to do today was just kind of open it up to you and say, hey, do people ask that? What's normal? What's not normal? How do we know it's normal? I think it's just a weird, quirky conversation, but it could lead somewhere cool. Let's try it.
All right, let's dive in.
All right, we're just going to give her today. All right. So here, I don't know if this has ever happened to you. Courtney and I, sometimes we'll be just in the house like going, is it other people or are we just the normal ones? Are we normal or are they normal? Which one's normal? You ever ask that?
Everybody thinks they're normal. The problem is everyone's really different. So is there a real normal? Is there normal? Is that actually a thing? I don't know.
Yeah, because you think about it, like everybody wants to come up with this idea and they want to think that they're thinking outside the box. But in reality, you're kind of just in a box, a different box. In reality, you never got outside the box. And most people want to be in the box. When I say, am I normal? When I ask if I'm doing normal things, well, I'm really asking, am I in a box that you recognize?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that what it is? Because people that think outside the box, if they get too far outside the box, then we don't think they're normal. The farther away from the box you get. And I think that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah, well, like I always think of it as if you ask, like, what's the norm? To me, it's statistically significant. Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good, right? Like, that's how I look at it. I don't know if that's the old, that's how you should actually describe normal, but that's what I look at is I kind of look at it as, yeah, it's over 50% or over 60% or whatever. But being outside of the norm can be a good thing. In fact, from a business perspective, to a large degree, you want to be outside the norm. If you're the same as all your competitors, how do you compete? Like, where are you not normal? That's where we look at that all the time at Dry Run. Like, we know kind of where we fit, but we also know here's where we're different. Here's what, and that's the part that matters from a business perspective. We have to get that message out of here's what we do that others don't and that others can't, right?
And I think to be successful with that strategy, hey, here's where everybody's at. What's our competitive advantage? What's our unique selling proposition? Whatever we want. You have to be able to not only clearly articulate that message, here's how we're different, but other people have to understand it and agree.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because if they don't, I mean, we've said it on here before, a confused mind never buys, right? Because
Yes.
you can have a great idea, but if people can't grasp really what you're trying to do, they're not going to buy. They're, when in doubt, don't kind of takes over.
Yeah. And sometimes they're the ones that will tell you. Actually, oftentimes the market will tell you. You might say, well, we think we're the best at this, and the market says, no. I need it for, you say you're best at X, but I found out you're the best at Y. That's how you help us all the time. And if you listen to the market, they can tell you what you're best at and how you help them the most. And that's, just going and standing on a soapbox and yelling at people saying this is what we're best at. No, listen to the market. They'll tell you.
So one of the ways in business we kind of define normal, and this is a weird thing to really define normal. We say, what's the industry average? What does everybody else do? Right? That's how we define normal. And I don't know if that's right. And even though I use it religiously, I mean, I use it for comparative things. It helps me have a better conversation because people can understand it. Here's where the market is. But you got to remember, the industry average is just that. These are C players in business. They're getting a C. If you think about business as a college degree, in business, they're getting a C. Do you really want to be that?
Yeah. And well, when you consider that half the businesses will be dead by year 5, about 30% in year 1. The number of because of that, the number of businesses that aren't profitable every year. Like right now, I read not too long ago that half the restaurants in Canada are burning cash every month that are actually not profitable. That could be you can consider that the norm, right? Like if you reach that degree, you're right. You can't aim for the norm. And I'm not sure that judging yourself against the industry averages is often very useful or very effective. Right. And the other side of it too is what industry, like those industry codes and that are awfully broad. And does it really help? Like, would I, as a software company, get bucketed in with telecommunications? What's the industry average for Bell telephones? Like, I don't know who all's included, but I don't know if they get narrow enough to be really effective in with some of those really broad kind of industry ballparks, right?
Well, all right. So there's roughly about 2,500 industries.
Okay.
We're talking about where they get down to the levels you're talking about,
Hmm.
right? Where it isn't just farming, it's corn farming, it's soybean, it's,
Okay. Yeah.
so there's actually about 2,500 industries. The problem is collecting data on all 2,500.
Yeah.
So my experience with RMA, Risk Management and Associates, or Risk Management Associates, who is a kind of a co-op of banks that are member banks, and banks submit anonymized data into this cooperative database, right?
Hmm.
And they share the results in this thing called an annual study. It's like a survey study.
Yeah.
And in general, they only have about 700 industries covered. So think about that. All these banks, not all banks, but the ones that are members, contributing statements all year long that really only comprise about 700 industries. And if you look at it even further, some of them will have nine, nine sample companies. Other
Yeah.
ones will have like 450. That's still not a huge sample size per industry. So, you
Yeah.
got to take a little bit with a grain of salt, but it at least gives you a way to run, right? Maybe not a perfect line, straight line, but it gives you a way to kind of compare your business.
Yeah. I they're they should have a minimum sample size before they would even report it. There's a point where it's like nine. Are you kidding me? That's not a sample size that's even remotely close enough. Like you just can't tell. Like you could have a couple of outliers in that group and screw everything up. So that's the issue with some of the stuff is where's the data coming from? How um, how accurate can it be? Like how do they collect it? What do they ask? It's almost like any like scientific study. It's only as good as the methods and the size of the sample, right?
Well, and that was just it. This is how I found a lot of this out. I had a client come to me and go, "Hey, how come your industry averages that I pronounce are different from the ones he can get from the SBDC, who has a subscription to, I don't know, Profit Sense or BizMiner or some other industry. I don't know which one it is."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, man, the only way that those could be that different is that the sample size is different."
Yeah.
And I said, I looked up the count on mine. There were 78 financial statements in the averages I was using. So 78 companies, this is what it is. Theirs was 6. I'm not going,
Yeah.
I kind of trust the 78 over the 6 in this case.
Well, and you also have to look at what the quality of the data is. Is it self-reporting or is it actually coming from financial statements? Because that makes a huge difference too. Like you're asking people to report, and they're you just don't know how accurate in any way the data is, right? Unless you can get it straight from the financials. But then all the financial statements, you would have to basically be able to slice and dice and look for outline information in there, like do grants count as revenue? There's all of these things that can cloud that data. I don't know. I think I'm a lot more skeptical than I think you are of the usefulness of that, and how useful is it for businesses to compare themselves to others? Like, is there something that's actionable? Is there something that they can pull out of that? I'm not totally sure compared to how they're doing. Should they be benchmarking against how they've been doing in their exact industry and in their market? Or should they be trying to benchmark against this bigger group? And if they're doing great, they get lazy. And if they're doing bad, they feel like shit.
Yeah, I think that's why I do it both ways. Like if you've been through the course, I've got this technique called mining your business for hidden cash, and that's what I use the industry averages for. Is kind of that, hey, this is what you should be. Whatever numbers this is, that should be the minimum, the C plus. But then the other side of that is I allow the person to create their own goals, and if they don't have goals, I'm like going, okay, well, let's just go at your best year's performance. So whatever year that was, if you thought it was 2019, let's use that year. That was the year you liked your business the best. We'll use those as the goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that way you got a look at it from both perspectives. What I should be, the minimum, and what I could be when I was really happy with my business.
Yeah. Yeah. And like there's again, like there's real value to, I think, especially looking at your own business. There's value to seeing like where you benchmark. I just got to be cautious about how much um, cred you're putting in there and how cloudy the data might actually be. But there are some, like, because we've even have some data benchmarking that we've done, and we can look at it and we know that uh, businesses leave a ton of money on the table by having low months. Do they know how much? And do they know how much everyone else does? And so there are benefits to some of that benchmarking. I guess is it insight, and it's like, okay, good. It gives me a little bit of perspective, or is it something you obsess over? And I think maybe that's where I'm thinking, right?
Well, see, I don't look at any of the benchmarking or averages as anything more than just kind of pointing me in the right direction, right? I don't look at it as exact science, like there are 23 chromosomes in the human DNA, right? That is uncontested. That is undisputed. That's how many there are, right? According to the way they count. So,
Yeah.
And I'm probably off on that. That's probably the wrong number. but
You're
but
asking the wrong guy.
but it's one of those things where it's not an exact science, and I think that's where sometimes people, like in running their business, they want an exact answer. If I turn the knob 3 degrees, this will happen. Well, not usually. I mean, or not always, right? There's always some other thing that could happen. But what it allows you to do is at least have a better than a guess, right? It's some methodology that lets you at least feel confident that you thought about this with a method, with some methodology.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things that the philosophy behind it that is really, really very beneficial to businesses is moving away from sort of the your gut instinct or the qualitative into the quantitative. Look at data, because your feelings could be very, very wrong compared to what the data tells you. And so when you start looking at benchmarkings and benchmarks, and you're trying to look at how we fare, the real big benefit is that if you're not looking at it carefully enough, it's forcing you to take a look at data and better understand your business, because gold's there in the numbers, right? Like they don't lie as easily as you do with your gut, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Hey, speaking of that, like, would it be normal for you if we were talking to a brand new business owner and they asked us, what's the normal experience? Would you say something like expect to lose some sleep?
Yes.
That would be normal. If you didn't, that would be abnormal. And that's because we care. I think you don't lose sleep all the time just because it's stressful. I mean, that's the reason, but you're stressed because you care. You're stressed because you want it to be better. I don't always lose sleep because I'm stressed out about an issue. I could be just thinking through a problem, and you and I have talked about that 10 times in this podcast. I lay my head down and I'm losing sleep, but my mind woke me up to tell me the answer. Right, the answer that was right there in front of my eyes the whole time, that I couldn't see it until I laid down and went to rest. I let my body rest.
Well, and losing sleep as an entrepreneur, it isn't always because things are anxiety or stress. Sometimes it's excitement. Like,
could be.
I've lost sleep. I'm sure you have too, because it's like, oh, freak, that's cool. This is awesome. We got an opportunity. Like you get excited. It'd be hard to sleep. And it's the same thing. Your mind, or at least my mind, won't shut off very easily. It's almost impossible to shut off, right? So
so I told you I got my first enterprise deal today, right? So
yes,
I was excited last night about it. I was like, well, that's a big deal for me, and I've been in business a little over a year now, been getting individual type customers, but then I had somebody come in as a big group, and I'm like going, that's a big exciting win for me. Yep. But here's what happened, and I'm going to blame it on beer or whiskey. I don't know which one. I'm laying in bed, and about 3:30 in the morning, something doesn't feel right. I wake up, open my eyes, and it looks like a huge ass spider is hanging from the ceiling in between the ceiling and my bed. And as I look at it and move my head, it scurries back up to the ceiling.
Oh,
Rubbed my eyes like this, and it was gone. I'm like, going, shit, did I just dream that? Did it happen? So I'm looking all over the place. There's no spider anywhere. In fact, I don't even see spiders that big around the house ever. So I'm still trying to convince myself that it was some type of stress hallucination or excitement hallucination that I was losing sleep and dreaming there was a spider going to drop on my head.
Man, I would be sleeping with the lights on tonight with a big bug suit on. And
the average person swallows 8 spiders in their lifetime during their sleep.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Quite awful.
I'm like going, really? You can't feel it? You're just going to eat a spider while you're sleeping.
But I guess at least they're little ones. So I don't think they're going to giant juicy one. That'd be pretty, that takes me out.
Hey, speaking of something better, let me tell you about Cashflow Mike. Trying to change the subject.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Go to cashflowmike.com and you can learn the clear path to cash. If you're an accountant or bookkeeper and want to be certified in the clear path to cash techniques and concepts, it's called Pathfinder. I've got a certification program that you can go through and learn the same techniques that I've used to find over $150 million to be able to secure over $500 million in loans with my clients and increase business value by over $1 billion. If you want to learn how I did it, go to cashflowmike.com and check it out. You can even get a free book on how to analyze any business's financial statements in 7 minutes or less. It's called the 7-Minute Conversation. Looking forward to talking to you. And if you like that, go to zoneofgenius.com/awards 2024 or 2024 and vote for Mike Blaine for Business Champion or Entrepreneurial Champion of the Year.
Yeah, do that. And I do want to say, like, when you guys are looking at programs like this, the type that Mike offers, they're not all created equal. And Mike isn't a coach and based on theory. You know, we're talking over a dozen businesses spanning a number of different sectors, have grown a lot of businesses, exited businesses. That's why you trust Mike, and that's why he's up for this award. So I just want to add that in. Go check him out at cashflowmike.com.
Really appreciate it. Help me win that Fidel Hopper and bring it home.
Beauty. Let's do it. Let's do it, everybody.
There you go. Hey, so if you think that you don't want to hear Dry Run or Cashflow Mike as the mid-roll, the title sponsor, you're in luck. It's open. It's an open slot. It's one that he and I use to promote our businesses in the absence of having a title sponsor. We just ended an agreement with our last title sponsor that opened up the spot for you. You can now own that spot. You'll have evergreen material that we can promote you and your business on, and you'll get the same types of results that we do using this platform. So check us out at mikeandblaine.com.
Yeah, do it. Check us out. Back to the show. Was that normal? I don't know if that's the normal way to do sponsorship stuff, but that's how we do it.
Well, you realize that we went into this podcast really bucking every trend. We didn't do anything the experts say that you're supposed to do.
No. And we've seen this over and over again that, man, sometimes the prevailing thought and the prevailing experts just leads a mob in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Or think about it. Even some of the, marketing techniques that people use is become an authority, write your blog, do this, that, and the other. Most of those are to encourage purchases and services or goods, right? I don't care if it's a top 10 list. I don't care if it's a why you should do this, why you should do that. There's always a, hey, by the way, if you want to learn how to do this better, go here. There's always another purpose. And what we decided to do was we're going to see if we can't just do it organically. Just use the platform as it is. use the stuff that we want, not have anything other than a cadence. Right? That's the only normal thing we do. Is like going every week we're going to try to produce content.
And our jingle.
And the jingle. Okay, so we invested in the jingle, right? We actually invested money. That's probably the only thing we've invested money in.
Yeah, it's definitely the coolest thing we've invested money in.
Yeah, maybe we should do something else. We're actually good at it. Hey, by the way, did you see Chartable? We're almost in the top 100 of business podcast in Romania now.
Oh, man. Love you guys in Romania. That is awesome.
Right? Yeah, almost top 100 Romania. We're in the top 200, like 160, 140 in Canada. And that's got to be all you. It's got to be all you.
Well, no, like it's, you know, as many Canadians as I do, I think.
Well, yeah, that's right. But I told that to neighbor Breger yesterday. He goes, well, I think there's only 112 podcasts in Canada, and you guys are 160.
Thanks so much. Appreciate the support.
He says there's this one guy. He's an ex-hockey player, and every time he thinks he's going to be booted out of the top 100, he goes into his car, makes a 14-minute video, and produces as a podcast. Just to kick somebody else out.
Just to pop up there. Yeah. Sounds about right.
I'm like, that's why we can't ever break it. This guy is keeping us out.
Keeping us out. Yeah. It's, exciting times. But we get the fun part with our show. We're streaming it live. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We have shorts. Our shorts get a ton of views. Tons of fun. So, but yeah, if you want to be featured on the show, just reach out, and we promise we won't be a normal show.
Well, so far we haven't been. All right. So, what are some other things that might be considered normal in a small business?
There's some things that are the fundamentals of business that. It doesn't seem to matter what kind of business you're in, they matter. Revenue, profit, cash flow. Even these tech startups that for the longest time, profit didn't matter. Suddenly profit matters. It's like they invented profit, right? But I think you got to recognize where do you follow experts' prevailing thought and the norm, because they're proven to be really effective ways to run your business, to manage your business, to deal with operations. And I'm going to pull this out of, I can't remember who the originator of this thought is, but I'm going to pull out the purple cow theory. And I'm sure I've mentioned on the show before, but it's the idea of you want to be the purple cow. So if someone's driving down the road, they look over and there's a herd of a few hundred cows. Guess which one they notice? It's the purple one. And that's, so there's times where normal could kill your business, and there's times where normal will drive your business. And it's, I think sometimes, recognizing which one helps you move forward and which one holds you back.
Yeah, because in that case, you're still a cow. You just look different. You're still producing the same goods or services. Still putting milk out, those type of things. So.
But man, if you put out chocolate milk and your purple cow, now you're onto something.
Oh, and you lay a golden egg.
And lay a golden egg. I don't know.
See, that'd be a really product differentiator. I think here's something that's normal. When I talk to people, I'm like, it's normal not to have one job. It's normal to find yourself every day doing something a little different. Sometimes maybe you're accounting, sometimes you're selling, sometimes you're building, sometimes you're, it doesn't matter. There's times where you've got to put on a different hat, sometimes multiple times a day, sometimes every other day. But I think it's normal not to have a routine job.
As an entrepreneur or a business owner, a CEO, president, whatever, absolutely, you're going to wear multiple hats every day. And that's one of the challenges, I think, that's normal that people are dealing with that and struggling with that. And that's one of the challenges is being able to focus and stay focused long enough, but also you can't do that at the detriment of everything else, right? So how do you balance that out? How do you be really effective and you're not bouncing from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing, but also not putting on blinders and missing some really important things because you just want to finish this all the way to the end. It's a really tricky balancing act, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really important sentence you just said, finishing all the way to the end, because we have a tendency, and I think it's normal, to stay too long, even in a failed idea, because you don't want to be perceived as a failure. Right? And that's an internal thing. You're like, but we should give this up because it's a failure. It's a dumb idea. It's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But it's normal, I think. And that's what, in this case, this is where you got to fight the normal. You got to say, it's normal for me to feel that way, but it's not right. It's not the right decision. I've got to let this project go. I've got to let this product line go. I've got to adjust my business model so that I can actually make money.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've boy, I've been guilty of that. Our businesses have been guilty of that. We had things that we were told, this is the normal way to do it. This is how you do it. This is what you should do. This is, everyone was like preaching, and we ignored data. We ignored where we were already successful. Instead of building on that, we reinvented the wheel because people told us what you're doing isn't normal and you should do it this way. And it didn't work as well as it should have. Now, unfortunately, it worked well enough that we thought it was good, thought it was normal, had to make some really hard decisions to do a pivot because our customers were telling us something different. Our customers were saying, we really need you over here. We're dying for you over here. And, like you said, we stuck with some things probably just too long, and it just made the inevitable pivot harder.
The biggest mistake I made in 2023 to now is expecting marketing agencies to work. I know that sounds like what? Meaning that they try to apply the same template to every business that comes in, without even knowing. I mean, I had somebody write just a blog article a couple weeks ago. I'm like, going, did you even look at my website? Like, who are you trying to attract to this thing, right? Because they're writing, and in the example I gave them, they wrote an article called "Why is Cash Flow Important?" Which on the surface you're like, oh, that makes sense, but not to where I'm at in my business. And here's what I mean by that: I don't want to attract the person that wants to know why cash flow is important. I want to attract the person that already knows it's important, that's struggling, that is trying to figure out how to change it.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. So you gotta really watch what you're putting out there in a message. I'm like going, here's the example I gave him. I said, you wrote an article that says, what is a car? When the next step I know what a car is, learn to drive. How do I learn to drive? I'm looking for the person that says, I'm a race car driver and I want to win on Sundays.
Yeah.
I'm looking for that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And he's not going to read the what is a car article. He knows what cars are. He knows how to drive. He just wants to do it better.
Yeah. We've made exactly the same mistake because, again, we were told that's what you do. That's what you do. That's what you do. And it's the exact same thing with us. The biggest challenge for us is it's the exact same thing is we need to get to people that are really hard to get to, because like I said to a friend of mine the other day, I'm like, a CFO isn't coming to our blog post to read how to be a better CFO. They know what they're doing.
That's right.
How do we get to them? Now, are they looking for software, or do they even know to look for software, that there is a potential answer out there? It's a challenge. It's really challenging to get to that. But I think that's the trap that a lot of us fall into. And we could do an entire episode on that, where a lot of the sort of marketing systems, you hit the nail on the head. I would say the same thing sometimes with advisors and coaches. They're there are some like Cashflow Mike that will move you forward 20 steps when by yourself you would do one, but there are others that will set you back. And
Mm-hmm.
it's and I was actually talking to my wife about this earlier today. We were just having a bit of a conversation, and I said one of the things I realized was there's a friend of mine that also advises businesses, and I learned so much one time when I sat down with him over a beer, and he just said, he goes, yeah, I know what you're doing, like, but I still want you to just tell me from the beginning. And he asked me question after question. And man, I'm telling you, it took an hour to go through it. But then he was basically talking with me on, now I understand. I know exactly where you're at. I know this is where, all of these things. And then thought back and realized how many of these advisors and people that had come to us didn't ask a single question and just
Yeah.
told us this is our system and this is how you do it. And what they're doing is a shotgun method to go, well, we'll try and push the system on 100 companies and one of them, it might work.
Yeah.
That's not how you,
Exactly
and
right.
we learned a lot of hard lessons that way. And,
Hey, my lessons cost tens of thousands this year.
and they should.
Not 10, tens of.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands. Just to not get like going, man, you can't put me in the same bucket as everybody else. It's not going to work that way.
Yeah.
This is a small niche, and we have to talk to that small niche. Like with you got to get them to go, stop wasting time and money and your team's time on broken spreadsheets. There's a solution to your problem.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot different than be a better CFO.
Exactly. But the challenge for us is, are they looking for that? Like if they're looking for it and they come in, we had a CFO last week come in and basically said, I've been looking for you guys forever. And finally, and it's gratifying because he was really like, he loved what we're doing. And he's like, this is amazing. This is a great fit. This is unbelievable. We've been looking for you guys. The frustrating part is, what the hell do we do to get found by, like, what are they looking for and how are they looking? It's a challenge, right? Because as they get to that sort of point, man, I don't even think they may not know that there's a tool out there that can really help them, right?
So you asked him what he was searching for? What did you type in when you were looking for us?
We asked, and the other challenge there is, if they've been looking for 6 months or a year, how did they remember? Well, Google. Okay. I think he actually found us through one of our partner stores. I think that's how he actually found us. But
chances are you were in probably half of his Google results, but maybe on page 2 or 3. I'd done before sucked and it was terrible and they had a better way, and then theirs was the same. And then the next person says, oh, that's because they did it and it was terrible and it sucked. We got a better way. I'd let an SEO company go because this company says that they weren't using the algorithm right and they got a better way to do it. And we'll see, but I'm starting over. And there's a gap. There's an air gap in SEO. So I expect a little bit of downward turn before it comes back.
Well, and I think a lot of the things that we've really been focused on since we really did our pivot last year and rebuilt the software and started moving much more up market, our mantra has just been do it right, not fast. Do it right, not fast. Do it right, not fast. And that means we take the time, we dig in, we look at the data, we understand where the problems are, and we don't do a quick fix. Now we do as much as we can quick tests. So do something that we think is going to move the needle and test it. Do something think is going to and test it, and just iteration. But we don't just spew things out and look for shortcuts here and there. We take a really analytical look. Or it's not going to work.
Well, it's funny because you say that, and that instantly makes me think of what's not normal, right? Which is what's not normal is if you open your door for the first day and there's a line of people out around the block wanting to get your stuff and you sell out in minutes, that's not normal. Yeah. If you push publish on your website and there's thousands of people on your website within the first hour, that's not normal, right? Yeah. It takes a long time and then something clicks. I don't know, something clicks in the market, but you've built all these things. It's like a stack of Legos. And there's a point in time when everybody can see the Legos now. It's not down below, it's up. And they go, oh, there's Legos over there. And then they run towards it.
Yeah. Yeah. It is just, that's one of the toughest things is to, like how many times over the years have you abandoned things too quickly? Right. Probably right before there was success because, and I'll tell you, because I believed at times that what we were doing was not normal. And then finding out that, like I still remember venture capitalists coming and talking with us and going, how come you guys aren't growing by $100,000 a month? Well, because it's me and Tarek, and we have a website and 4 blog posts, and that's it. And we're not spending a dime. And we're growing by what I realize now was not normal. It was really good. But what we were told was it's not normal. It's really bad. And then you find out, no, it's lies. It was outright lies, right? Like, again, because they don't ask any questions. They're like, how come you're not growing this fast? Because we're not a venture-backed company burning through $500,000 a month.
Yeah.
That's
organic, real growth.
Organic, real growth. And, you know, a lot of times I don't even think people know how to recognize that. And that's the problem is I can see now in the past, there were times that we were not normal. We were way better than normal. But the signals and information we were getting back was people telling us it was the opposite. And that's pretty damaging to a company. It really can stunt your growth while you're chasing and doing what everyone says you should be doing and what's normal and it's not.
So here's what I think I learned today. If you think you're normal, it's okay. If you think you're not normal, that's probably okay too. Because your normal is your normal. My normal for you, like this VC, what he thinks is normal wasn't your normal. It didn't fit. Right? It doesn't match. So it's you are in a box. Regardless, you might be in your own box and outside of everybody else's, but you're in your own box. So that's normal. What you experience is normal.
Yeah, and I think that what I think what I learned is there's a place where you want to be normal. In other words, see what the norm is. See what other businesses are doing that's effective in a lot of management areas and a lot of things that will help you as a business. You don't reinvent the wheel, but truly understand where you're not normal, because that part that's out of the norm is what makes you different. And that's what people want. And I think it's just tricky to make the determination, but there should be places in both where you are not normal at all. You're different and you are killing it, doing it in a different way. And then there's other ways. Don't reinvent the wheel when the path has been set and other businesses before you have figured things out in some of the areas that just kind of will help your business tick along and manage properly.
Yeah, very cool. So, hey, I'm Mike Blaine, also known as Cashflow Mike. That is my partner and my friend. the CEO and founder of Dry Run, the best cash flow forecasting software in the world. I'm going to say world.
Say world.
And this was episode 133 of Mike and Blaine. You can check us out at mikeandblaine.com where you can.
Make sure you check out our latest episode, buy us a beer. You can even buy merch, but make sure you follow us. You like us. Don't miss an episode. We're at this every single week. And we would love to hear from you. If you want to hit us up on our Facebook page, or I think at mikeandblaine.com, you probably get a hold of us, or connect with Mike and I on LinkedIn. You can track us down. We'd love to connect with you and chat with you.
Yeah, right on. Hey, don't forget to go to zoneofgenius.com/awards 2024 and vote for Mike Blaine for Business Entrepreneur of the Year.
We will have that in the show notes. Make sure you do that. Thanks, guys.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.